Slang everybody, I am Corvus Bruxo Luggenikos, although I feel my name is going to change soon enough, and this is Sarina Solitary. I'm sorry that I'm uploading this video so late, it's absolutely no Wednesday, but my dad was in hospital, now he's out of danger, of course, otherwise I wouldn't be filming this, but even though I was alone at home and had the chance to film, I couldn't because I had to do like 1,000 things and buy lots of groceries for when my mom came back and stuff. And he's still in hospital, but now I have a little time, so I'm doing this video. Today we're talking about books related to paganism, witchcraft, magic, and all this juicy stuff, fiction or not, or non-fiction. Since I feel that I already recommended all of the books, all non-fictional books on paganism or witchcraft that I could, because as I said, I'm not as old in witchcraft and practical magic as I am in paganism. In other video I recommended Jim McGarry and Daniel Schultz's stuff, another material. I feel that what I can add up here is about fictional books that deal with paganism, witchcraft, magic, or all of them at once. Since I have no particular order to these books or this book series, what I'm gonna do is basically tell you about them in the order that I have piled them up, with no other reason in the order of the books and recommendations. This is not a qualitative list, and I will explain a little bit about them, and I hope this won't become a long ass video, which is what it looks like. Okay, so first we have the Iron Druid Chronicles by Kevin Hearn, and I probably butchered the pronunciation of the author. It is urban fantasy, and it deals with the last of the Druids. It's about Atticus O'Sullivan, a surviving immortal druid that is living in Tempe, Arizona, maybe. I don't know, I'm very bad at American geography. Basically hiding from a Celtic god that is trying to hunt him down, and he has a bunch of abilities that are alluded to druidry, such as shapeshifting and communicating with spirits and stuff like that. It's like a lot of fantasy, because it's a lot of fantasy, but it still has a bit of reality, especially in the part of dealing with spirits, the spirits having their own will and their own interest, so you have to deal with them, you have to offer them something in order for them to work for you in some manner. In that aspect is really cool, and also the magical mythological elements such as magic swords and stuff like that. Really interesting. I have only read 4 books so far, and there are like 8, 9 more, I don't know. A lot of books. The first one is Hounded, and it doesn't only deal with Irish or Gaelic mythology. There are magic practitioners, witches, gods and goddesses, and mythological creatures from basically all pantheons. There are, for example, Maenads. Is that how it is pronounced in English? Maenads. There are Celtic gods, there are, I don't know, for example, Coyote appears in one of the books. I don't know, there are a bunch of mythological figures in this series. and it's pretty cool. I really enjoy them. So yeah. Then we have a Morris and Chastain investigation by Justin Stainis. I probably also butchered that name even more. Basically, Quincy Morris and Lippy Chastain are a couple of workers. They are not a couple literally. Quincy Morris is a descendant of the Morris character in the Dracula novel, if I remember correctly, and he's a supernatural investigator who also brings solution to the supernatural problems. And she is a witch, a good witch, who helps Quincy Morris in his investigations. And basically, they deal with a lot of supernatural threats. There are more books that I have read. I have read the first 3 ones, and they're pretty amazing. They deal with different mythologies as well. It has like too much fantasy to be believed, but yet is less fantasy than the Iron Druid Chronicle. And the first one is Black Magic Woman, in which they are dealing with generational curse. But there are a lot of interesting storylines and stuff, and I really recommend this book series. It's one of my favorites. And now we keep on with Justin Stainis with the Hates Project. The Hates Project was intended to be a book series, but I don't know if it was the lack of success or whatever, but they didn't do it. But some of the storylines that I read were intended for these. I have seen them in some of the books of Morris and Chastain investigation. And this book is amazing. The characters are so very well worked. I love the characters. Even the ones that appear in just one scene or whatever, some of them are like really good. So this is about a cop that is, or a cop, an FBI agent, I don't know, someone with authority who is investigating a series of murders. And what we know is that the murderer is possessed. So this is the best depiction of a demon as the Christian folklore depicts demons. I was so tired of demons that are supposed to be debauchery, sin, everything disgusting in the world, but they were like too touchy to kill children. They were too heterosexual to have sex with men or rape men, for example. No, this demon is pure debauchery. His corpses are set in a way that is like a very macabre joke to him. He has like, for example, the eyeballs ripped out and ridden with blood, a nice bro job or something like that. Like he's very nasty. So he's the best depiction of a classical Christian demon that I've seen in my entire life. He's nasty. He's cruel. He's the worst, and I love him for that. And it is very well researched on classical medieval demonology. There are like demons from classical grimoires and stuff like that. So it's really interesting, but it's entwined with science fiction in a sense, quantum physics, stuff like that. Really interesting. This is one of my favorite books as well. and I don't know why there aren't more on this series, but it's fantastic. Then we have, of course, the Vampire Chronicles and the lives of the Mayfair Witches by Anne Rice, two fantastic book series that one deals with fictional vampires, romanticized vampires actually, and the other deals with witches that are like fantasy witches, of course, but they try to be like real. They're really this is redundant, but they're really realistic, because the witches in these two, because they cross over many times in this book series, are very realistic because their main powers are psychic, and the main source of power are spirits, and they have like a very solid way of explaining what a spirit is, why they exist, how they manipulate the physical world. If they're spirits, they explain about the manipulation of atoms, and the way that when a spirit grows stronger, they can actually do this or that, but because of this or that, or because the dimensions are this way. It's really good, and I love it. And they're so explanatory. Anne Rice is always so explanatory. They explain, well, she explains everything, so you understand the world, her fictional world. And then we have the Charlie Davison series. The first book is I don't know how it's called in English, probably first tomb or first grave to the right, and all of the books has this name. So this is about this is by Darinda Jones, and this is about Shirley Davidson, who is basically the angel of death. So she's the medium by which spirits cross to the other side, cross over to the other side, whatever. And she's the only one that can see these spirits, and she's in love with a character that she doesn't know what he is, but he's powerful and dark, and is the only other supernatural creature that she's seen besides spirits. And what I love about this series is that the mysteries are unexpected many times, and Charlie Davison is fucking hilarious. She's fucking hilarious, and she's very human too. She has this power to make spirits cross over to the beyond, to the afterlife, but she doesn't have any more powers, so she's usually beaten up and put in danger, and she's usually close to death. So she's really realistic in that aspect too. But what I love the most is that she's basically hilarious. I cracked up in laughter many times while reading this book. So yeah, and it reminds a little bit to some TV series such as Medium, or how was it called in English? Oh, Ghost Whisperer. Ghost Whisperer it's a name that I usually forget, and I'll tell you why. Spanish translators aren't bad, but they're too used. They have a custom, a folklore of translating titles, particularly however they fucking want. And Ghost Whisperer, instead of Susurradora de Fantasmas, that would be the literal translation to Spanish, they decided that it wasn't pretty enough in Spanish, and they called it Entre Fantasmas, Between Ghosts. So nothing to do. I always forget the original title. So we have here the how was it called, the Godon Family series. This is a trilogy on urban fantasy and magic realism by Nicole Canfield, who is a fellow pagan and witch. She was a YouTuber. I don't know if she is anymore. She was known as Kitty the Dreamer, if I recall correctly, and this trilogy is fantastic. It is about a woman who moves to her grandma's recently deceased grandma's house in Louisiana, maybe, and she discovers that she was from a family of witches, and it reminds me a lot to the lives of the Mayfair witches, but it's another twist, another touch to it, and it's really well researched, and Nicole Canfield knows a lot about medieval witchcraft and historical witchcraft, so it is really well researched, and I really enjoyed it. And it gets to be pretty realistic in most things, not in all of them, but in most of them. And then we have, of course, American Gods by Neil Gaiman, and this is very well known, but in case you don't know, it deals with a character known as Shadow Moon, and he is released like days before his time from jail, and it's because his wife is dead and he discovers that she was being unfaithful. So in the flight back home, he knows a weird man known as Mr. Wednesday, and he offers him a job to travel around the country and work for him, and he accepts because he doesn't have anything else. But he starts to discover like really weird shit, and the characters that they're visiting are also really weird. So it deals with a world of spirits and gods that deal to survive, to keep the faith of people to survive, because the faith has shifted to new gods, gods of cities, gods of the internet, gods of fame, the modern gods that are shallow, but they're taking over. So this is a war between old and modern gods, and it's really, really great. If you haven't read it, you absolutely should. Okay, we have two more left. This one, Angelology, is by Daniel Trussoni, is amazing, and I have yet to read the sequel, whatever, Angelopolis. So this is about angels, of course. It doesn't have like lots of magic, but it also deals with some Enochian magic, at least in the first book. And this is about the Nephilim, the half human, half angels, half angel creatures that, according to biblical, non-biblical texts, are really nasty, deformed, and in this book they want to take over society. They are able to hide their wings, they appear human, like, yeah, really tall, really whatever, but human, and they have infiltrated the higher ranks of Western society, and they're taking over. So you have these angelologists that study angels, Nephilim, everything, and they uncover a plot. So these are like a different parts, storylines, like someone who doesn't know about angelologists, but the character discovers about them, and someone who is an angelologist, and there are like one particular Nephilim that is like the villain, and is absolutely fantastic. And I love how they explain angel features. Like, the spiritual world exists, but they explain how angels are materialized, and how, for example, the extreme shine of the angels is, for example, nuclear energy. So being close to angels is toxic for humans, and there are like lots of details like this that make this story amazing to read, and I should absolutely read the sequel and read Angel. I have to reread this one because I don't remember all of the details and how the story unfolds and is closed at the end of the book, and then read Angelopolis because this was one of my favorite reads back in the time, because it is so it is like if Anne Rice had written about these angels, because it is the same level of details, and I love it. I really love it, even if it's a little bit of Christian leaning, but it's not like super fundamentalist Christianity or anything like that. It's just people investigating angels and angel genetics and lines and folklore, and not even all of them are Christian. So yeah, it is worth reading, believe me. And the last one, and the pile here is about to fall down. This is by Tessa Gratton, Blood Magic. This also has a sequel that I haven't read, but this one was amazing. It's about some characters that discover a book on blood magic and the wonders that they can do following the recipes and the spells that appear in this. And there are like several characters from different ages that in the end they end up crossing each other paths, and the blood magic is like pretty cool, pretty interesting, kind of realistic in some points. They also deal with a bit of spiritual alchemy with things like transmutation and stuff like that, immortality, I don't know, lots of things, but they're really interesting. The characters, the spells, everything is super interesting, and I loved it. And that's it for today. I have more books, but I feel that if I add more books, this video will last forever. It's actually, oh my god, it's 23 minutes, so I'm gonna cut it off here. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you're interested in some of these books, and if you haven't read some of these books and you feel they can be interesting for you, then you should definitely read them. So all of these books are absolutely recommended, not only these books but also their sequels or their complete series. And that's it, my friends. Again, I hope that you enjoyed and that you could take some notes on books that you're interested in. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Tell me which of these books did you read already, which ones not, which ones are you interested in reading now that I have recommended them to you, and tell me all you want nicely here or down here. Thanks for watching. We'll see each other. I don't know if next Wednesday, it depends on my dad's health, and yeah, but we'll see each other some next Wednesday. If not 1 or 2, then 3 or 4, but we'll see each other. I'm not going anywhere. I love you all.